UNC students and faculty stand together in hopes of saving the school from the effects of the recession.
And a cloudy, rainy day, but not as rainy as we thought. That changes tomorrow and lasts through parts of your weekend. We'll detail all of that in your Precision Forecast.
Plus, a hunting practice known as penning brings more than 100 comments to our website. That's tonight on Live at MyNC.
Live in the Triangle. Accurate, balanced, to the point. This is NBC 17 News at 6.
Save our school. That's the message from students and faculty at UNC today. Good evening. I'm Melanie Sanders. Thanks for joining us. Dozens gathered together to protest potential budget cuts at the university. Here's where it stands. Last week, UNC Chancellor Holden Thorpe announced all campus departments will have to make permanent 5% budget reductions. That amounts to about $29 million. Thorpe said that will result in staff reductions and will impact academics. As our Lauren Hills explains, protesters took their concerns to university leaders.
Just before noon at the pit, demonstrators raised their voices opposed to the 5% budget cut. The group then took their protest outside the Carolina Inn, where the Board of Trustees was meeting. Chancellor Thorpe came out to listen.
They say cut back, we say fight back.
And respond.
You've made your position very forcefully and very clearly.
Then they moved inside, demanding layoffs start at the administration level and that student services and class sizes not be impacted by reductions.
We demand that the university not cut costs by forcing one person to do the job of multiple people.
The university has got to make some difficult choices about how to preserve the academic quality that we've worked for 200 years to preserve.
The protesters repeatedly said there should be more transparency in budget-making decisions, though the university does display all information on its website's homepage.
Shot from the top.
Chancellor Thorpe says he understands why these issues are such emotional topics.
We are very mindful of the difficult circumstances and the difficult choices that we are facing, and we take it very, very seriously.
The protesters say they hope that's true and that officials will take their message into account. Lauren Hills, NBC 17 News.
Also, protesters pushed to have a student and faculty oversight committee to help make budget decisions. Now, earlier today, the State Employees Association sent a letter to the UNC System's president, Erskine Bowles, about potential staff cuts. The letter reminds the state budget has not been signed into law yet, and cuts should not be made in anticipation of a shortage of funds. A major employer at Research Triangle Park, IBM, announced thousands of layoffs today. That's according to employee group Alliance at IBM. On its website, more than a dozen people posted comments about being laid off today. About 300 layoffs came from the RTP campus. A total of 5,000 jobs at IBM were cut company-wide. Another major Triangle employer is also cutting jobs. An unknown number of GlaxoSmithKline employees were laid off yesterday at its U.S. headquarters in RTP. The cuts are part of layoffs announced back in November. Glaxo has about 5,000 employees in the Triangle. A local church has fallen victim to the ailing economy. Trinity Faithful Gospel in Wendell filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection earlier this month. The filing says the church was unable to pay the $1 million it owes for the building. According to the News and Observer, the church was founded 12 years ago. The paper says the church borrowed $1.25 million to build. A Cary church has formed an unemployment support group. People who have lost their jobs can meet at noon at Christ the King Lutheran Church in Cary. The pastor says he hopes this will help reverse the negative perception of the unemployed.
Tell people what's happened to you. And being able to tell that story releases a lot of that sense of shame, a lot of that sense of I've done something wrong, that I'm isolated from my community.
Well, the group has met every other Thursday since January. Anyone is welcome to join. The tough economy is making the trucking industry more attractive to some workers. Enrollment is up by about 10% at the North Carolina Truck Driving Training School at Johnston Community College this year. The director says the industry has suffered during the recession, but it's a quick way for the unemployed to get back to work. The 8-week course at the community college cost about $650, and it puts students on the track to make more than $40,000 a year. Turning to our forecast, foggy, cloudy, and just wet today. So will it be more of the same tomorrow? Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein joins us now with those details. Hey, Wes.
Hi, Mel, and good evening to you at home. Looks like the next couple of days we could see more of the same. Today we saw temperatures in the upper 60s, and there was rain, just not as much as we thought. There is patchy rain out there right now. That'll continue through this evening. And as you can see, there's not much to talk about as you widen out. So that means we could have some dry time in the morning, but then it'll really get going again tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So light rain with 60s later tonight. You'll wake up with fog again, maybe some drizzle in 50s. Back into the 60s tomorrow with heavier rain in the afternoon, and we're talking severe weather now on Saturday. We'll give you the timing of that in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Wes. We'll see you then. Well, morning rain and fog hindered the search this morning for a missing 6-year-old girl in Harnett County. Keziah McMillian has been missing since Tuesday. Family members say she fell into the Little River. Today, along with the divers, crews used canine units and boats to search a 5-mile stretch of water. Divers will stay in the water until dusk, and boats will patrol throughout the night.
We are using some infrared cameras, as we talked about earlier, to look at some of the snags, some of the rock ledges and whatnot. And we are also had some land crews just finish up covering the banks on both sides of the river, on the north and the south side of the river.
Well, the little girl's cousins passed out pink ribbons this afternoon, hoping for her rescue. Durham deputies arrested a high school student on campus after they found a weapon during a search. It happened at Hillside High School. Police are reporting they found a 9mm pistol, a gun clip, and drugs resembling crack cocaine. Reports say the 16-year-old student admitted he was in a gang. Well, it's business as usual at a Henderson hospital tonight, but earlier today, the Maria Parham Hospital was on lockdown. Police say around 1 o'clock, a 17-year-old with a weapon was spotted outside the campus on surveillance pictures. Police arrested the teenager outside the hospital. They say he was carrying a BB gun. No one was hurt. The woman who gave up her twins for adoption then changed her mind continues her fight to get those kids back from an Apex couple today. A timeline shows in 2006, Allison Quetz kidnapped the children during a visitation and fled to Canada. She was sentenced to 5 years probation and had her visitation revoked. Today, Quetz appeared in federal court to argue for more visitation.
I think justice will prevail, and it's, as Mike said, a very simple case. Children deserve to see their mother. Children deserve to be with their mother, and you just get down to basics. It's not very complicated.
Well, the Apex couple has full custody of those twins. They chose not to speak after today's hearing. A judge did not issue a ruling today. A controversial hunting practice known as penning is getting a lot of attention after our story yesterday on NBC 17. Coming up, the history of this hunting method and your reaction. That's next on Live at MyNC.